So this is what I do in some of my spare time. I like to hang out here and collect pretty rocks. So I wanted to talk to you about open mics. As I've been hosting open mic nights for a little over 2 years, my experience has really risen in a lot of ways. I've been able to work with hosting, with performing, with setting up a stage, with running a stage and the sound for it, working with people, networking. So it's really just boosted my confidence in music tons. So the fact that I'm going to be taking a break from hosting open mics has been a little bit impactful. There are a few reasons why I decided to take a break, and I wanted to share them with you. First, I wanted to tell you a handful of wonderful things about open mics and why you as a musician should be taking advantage of your local open mic nights in town. So, number one, open mic nights are great for networking. There's really no better way to get in touch with musicians than just finding your local open mic nights and getting out there. There will be people there. Some of them will be more talented, some of them will be less talented, and depending on where you're at, you're definitely going to find somebody that you can work with. When I was first playing music in Tucson, open mic nights were kind of my start. The contacts I was able to make and the networking that I was able to do at open mics, playing music, doing what I love, was awesome. Just incredible. Number two, performance, the practice. When you're practicing at home compared to playing on stage are two entirely different things, and they take a different kind of practice. That kind of sucks, but it's true. No matter how much you practice at home or how good you sound at home, getting on a stage, it's a different atmosphere. You're working with different elements. It's going to be different. So you got to get into that. You have to adjust, and you have to practice performing. And there's no better place than an open mic. If you bomb, which you totally can at an open mic, it happens all the time. Most of the times, people are still going to cheer you on, still going to clap for you. It's a supportive environment, and it really should be, because it's not about having all of the best performers in town come out to the open mic and play, because it's a free show, and it's a collective group of local performers that just wanted to get out and play that night. So get your experience up and go perform at an open mic. Number three, experience. This goes past the performance aspect of things, because when you're out in a live environment, you're performing, you're interacting with other performers, audience members, staff, bar owner, drunk people, the whole roundabout. You gain a lot of experience, and you're going to need it. The cool thing about open mics is if you stick around enough and you keep playing at them, eventually, if you have the right equipment and the right charisma, you could take on hosting an event, and that gains even more experience in a ton of ways. Kind of like what I talked about earlier. I started performing at an open mic, and I came every week, and it was a new thing, and eventually I was able to run and operate their sound equipment, set up the stage, do the hosting, and the amount of experience that I gained in that time was actually a little insane. It was a lot. It was more than I could handle at the time as a newbie, but it really just boosted my whole self-esteem for all of that. And I was shortly after able to go get my own equipment and start running an open mic on a smaller scale, and that felt really good. So you can learn a lot from open mic hosts, the sound guy, and the performers there, and grow your experience and your overall self-esteem in the music field incredibly. A note for people at open mics, the seasoned veterans, and I think most of you know this, remember that you're there to support people at open mic nights. This isn't a show. This isn't a paid gig. It's a relaxed environment. Open mic nights are about having fun and connecting with people, creating a community. And that involves more than just the musicians. That involves everybody. So if you can, include poets, include comedians, include A cappella. Just drive away from karaoke, my friends. But be welcoming to everybody in the environment that you're in. I realized I wasn't done. So I kind of wanted to talk about the duality, if that's the right word, of open mics. So kind of the give and take, the positive and negatives. Open mics, like I said, are a wonderful opportunity to network, to perform, to gain experience. However, sometimes in towns you have oversaturation of free shows. Let me explain. An open mic is a host with gear and setting up a beautiful stage, making everything look nice, and giving the opportunity for performers to play there. The performers are playing for free. So they're, immediately giving back to the event. They're making it happen. And so the open mics basically run by having a big audience. If you don't have a big audience at open mic nights, then they can't happen. If the bars don't see the value, then the bars won't pay to have someone come and host an open mic and bring the gear and do all that. So if you live in a town that has an oversaturation of free shows outside of open mics, you run into a problem. Regardless of how good you are or your level of experience, even if you're an amateur singer, songwriter, comedian, poet, if you're giving value to an event, they should be giving value back to you. It's called equal exchange of energy, and it's really important. Equal exchange of energy. There are shows where you play for free. That's called an open mic night. And you're giving back by being there. You're helping the host and the business, and you're getting the opportunity to perform on a nice stage for an audience and gain a lot of experience for being there. So it's a good exchange. However, if there's too many other free shows all around town, career performers are lacking that market, but there's less incentive to go to open mics. So the open mics suffer too, which is pretty sad because the career performers end up there because they can't find paying shows. So we all need to work together. If you're in that kind of situation where there's too many free shows, work together to bring up the value of the community, because you are bringing value by performing someplace. You are. I know that when I started doing open mics, I was doing it for free. And I thought that I had to do it for free because my experience level was so low. I needed help and I needed to grow and learn. But the truth of it is any value you're bringing is value. And in my situation, I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot more than I gave myself credit for. And when people told me that I should ask for that value, I was like, whatever, you're sweet, but no, I was too humble about it. When the truth behind it is, when you work hard and you spend your time and energy and your practice on something, then yeah, you should be given some value. So yeah, the duality of open mics and free performance. It's important. It's something to think about. If you have any thoughts about that, free performances and open mics, totally comment below. It's kind of a big subject. I just gave like one note on it. Definitely something I could go more into. Like I said, I'm taking a step back from doing open mic nights as I get into my new album. And I wanted to share a little bit about this with you guys. Playing at an open mic at a bar or a restaurant where it's a little busier, and sometimes people are listening and sometimes people aren't listening. Sometimes people are having a lot of fun and sometimes people are being really attentive to what you're playing. On one hand, it's really great experience because you get to kind of deal with that atmosphere and overcome and still play a good set. And if you can, draw in people's attention. That's what it's about. On the other hand, if you play at these places all the time, it can be a little soul draining because you're having to fight for people's attention. If you get paid to do a gig or a show at a place where people are supposed to be listening, where they're paying to listen, then they're going to listen. And it makes the interaction a lot easier. When you're someplace where people are there to have fun, they're there to drink or eat, and then there's music, you can totally pull in their attention and interact with them, and it's a wonderful experience. But you've got to work twice as hard. And like I said, that's a good thing, and it's also a frustrating thing. So, you know, take that as you will. For me right now, as I'm approaching a new album and trying to play original music and trying to organize my time better, long drives and fighting to have an audience listen is a little tough. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop gigging entirely, but this is what I'm doing right now. So I'm approaching my album. I'm, taking a break from a show that I spent, blood, sweat, and tears. Maybe not the blood, but sweat and tears for sure. And I'm sure I'll come back and do this show again sometime next year, but right now, you got to get boogieing. I don't know if I'll actually come back and do it again next year. I'm getting way too personal. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Because I'm ready to move up in the world. I've spent over 2 years hosting the open mics, and I've loved almost every moment of it. But in this last 2 months, my heart has been so ill-content about doing shows where I don't get to connect and share the music in the way that I want to. And it's tough to take a step back from that when for so long that was what I wanted to do. I did want to have a good event that I was hosting and running the sound and bringing on performer after performer, doing the open mic and showcases. But now all I want to do is play my original music. All I want to do is share that story, connect with people. And my heart is just not in the showcase hosting side of things anymore. Not weekly, not in that kind of scheme of things. For now, I want to focus on my music, and I feel a little selfish. It's been really hard to admit that I've been making so many excuses about why I got to drop this show, and I hope that's not selfish, but it's where my heart's at. I put a lot of work into my music, and it sucks to sometimes be in the position where you don't even get to play because there's too many performers on the list. Sometimes it's not the end of the world. I loved it for a couple years now, too. But now I gotta do my thing, and I'm really stoked for that.